Hey everyone, and welcome to Television for the Multiverse, the DC TV podcast from Mail Fuzz TV. I am Peter, and I'm joined by Connor.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah,
I can't remember if I speak on this one.
I'll let you do usually. I think I thought I'd just throw you off, and
Yeah, you left space, so I was like, I think I'm supposed to say something.
you've claimed many a time that you zone out during certain intro and outro sections. So now I'm going to.
To be honest, I wasn't completely paying attention there, and then I was like, there's silence. I should probably say something.
It'd be nice if you'd assumed I'd said something else and responded with some random answer to a question you thought I'd asked.
Yeah. No, maybe you get away with that at the end.
Maybe. But no, so this is our DC TV podcast, and what we do here is we review the week's DC shows, which in this week's case is Supergirl, The Flash, Black Lightning, Arrow, unfortunately, and we're also doing an episode of Young Justice each week, catching up on that. We're halfway through season 1 because the new season 3 is coming sometime towards the end of 2018. So we're doing that as well. So that's what's happening this week. So now. Obviously that comes up. We'll usually discuss any news or anything like that if there was any. There was one small thing this week, not to do with the shows that we're covering, but we did get some more casting for Krypton. I don't have it in front of me, but Jack Sar was cast for Krypton.
Yeah, I'd also say we got a statement from I think it was the president of the CW saying that they don't actually want any more than 4 superhero shows on at a time. That's their limit. He's outright said, okay, we don't want people to get fatigued and have it be too much.
I mean, that's straightforward enough. I mean, we have 2 that have got shorter seasons right now, so
yeah.
If anything, it just means next season will be. I mean, not necessarily guaranteed, but it means at worst it's the exact same next season as it is this season.
Yeah, of course, exactly.
So,
it just don't ever expect to have 5 in a week.
That's fair enough.
Except
maybe crossover.
Maybe
week.
A rare occasion for crossovers. Yeah,
I can see them doing it. Like I know they keep saying that Black Lightning is not technically in the CW verse, but there's nothing in the show itself that says it can't be, right? So, I mean, so far anyway, right? The minute they want to do it, the minute they say, you know what, Black Lightning is going to premiere a week before season 2 will premiere a week before the crossover, so the episode 2 can be a crossover episode.
I kind of hate that though. That would annoy the hell out of me. Episode 2 being a, I mean, you're just starting and then you throw me into something else.
Well. What would you rather, just a special one-off that's technically a bonus before the season starts, so they can have it in the crossover?
Yes, yeah. Knock one off the episode order, because obviously they're not going to pay for extra, but...
The numbering there bothers me. I mean, arguably they don't need more than 4 for the crossover itself, if they just want to put them in the same,
I'm thinking, how things do like Christmas specials, like Doctor Who? Do it like that, but
I
this is
hate that.
The crossover special.
I hate it, no.
It's still better than derailing it 2 episodes in.
Well, it depends, because, like, admittedly, Black Lightning so far has been a little bit more serialized, but if you're going a bit more, like, you have standalone episodes, like, would it matter to The Flash if episode 2 happened to be the crossover episode, really? When it was going to be, like, random rogues gallery villain for an episode?
It really bothers me. And it's the same thing that bothers me in the comics. Marvel are especially guilty for this, where you'll get 3 issues into a series, and then it'll be, and now we're doing a crossover. And I'm like, piss off, let me enjoy this thing first.
And that's a fair complaint about the comics, because they do it multiple times, and they'll keep announcing new times where it's going to happen. I think the difference with this is that it's one guaranteed time per year. So even though it might be early in the season, you know that the rest of the season is going to be untouched.
But that's the thing. I kind of want it to go, all right, let me enjoy this first, what it is on its own. And then we can do some crossover fun, and then get back to what it is. I don't want it just there at the start and ruining that.
Well, by your demands, they can't do a 5-episode crossover. Right,
that's fine. I'm sure they won't anyway.
Possibly not, because they don't necessarily need to have an episode of him to like put him in it, if that makes sense. And especially if they go back to the 2 doubles, which they might want to. That might have worked well for them.
I think it probably did work well, yeah.
Yeah, rather than spreading it out over 4 nights. And you can't do that with 5, because then you'd have 2 doubles and a single, which would be weird. So...
Yeah, what you're saying is they need a 6th show.
Yeah, so they can have to do doubles. That's exactly what I'm saying. You know what? They're doing that Charmed reboot. just throw that in. We need witches. It's fine. Just
make that Zatanna.
Put Zatanna as one. On Charmed as one of the sisters. Maybe she's like the adopted sister on Charmed.
I'll allow it.
Done. Right. That was a weird tangent to go down. So, yeah, so shows. We got shows to talk about. I'm trying not to make this run too long, so I don't have to split up the audio version, because there's a certain length if we hit. I won't tell you what it is at home, but if you're in the audio version and there's like a part 2, that's why, is because I had to split it in half for size limit reasons. But that may not happen. We'll have to do it yet. We've actually been lucky to keep this contained in one part.
We've been pushing it, but
we've pushed it a couple of times. But hey, so here we go. So first thing we're going to talk about, of course, is Supergirl Season 3, Episode 11. It's called Fort Rozz. And yeah, so, and obviously spoilers for each show as we talk about it, as you'd expect. So, I'm pretty sure on the show last week, when we mentioned the next episode's called Fort Rozz, I think I brought it up on the show. If I didn't, this is a conversation me and you had.
Yeah, we definitely had the conversation. I don't know if it was on the show now. I was a little hazy.
Yeah, you were drunk at the recording. You weren't drunk. You're not drunk this week. You were drunk while we were watching Arrow.
Oh, I was more drunk this week watching Arrow than I was last week, easily.
Oh, easily, yeah. You were. I almost got footage of Connor falling over when he was trying to sit back down. It was rather amusing.
Wouldn't be the first time.
So, but I did say, okay, the next one's called Fort Rozz. Wait a minute, Supergirl launched that into space at the end of season 1, did she not? But sure enough, within like a second of mentioning it, hey, I threw it into space in season 1. Well, I shouldn't say it in those words, obviously, but like I put that into space.
Where'd that end up?
So it became kind of what I thought it might, is if they're going to Fort Rozz to get information, then they're going to have to go into space. And I actually thought it'd just be like by the moon or something. I thought it'd be like close by. Turns out it's drifted all the way to this other star.
She really threw that thing.
She really did. She gave it a good oomph. Now, admittedly, I understand that in space, once something has velocity,
momentum, it's moving until something else catches it.
Yeah, I don't think I necessarily got the idea though that she actually shoved it, like at least from memory. I didn't remember her properly.
Hey, it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, shoving it. I kind of just thought it was in orbit of Earth. Honestly, if you'd asked me.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, no, makes sense. So it's out next to this blue star, which not only will she not have her powers, this doesn't have the blue star itself does not have an effect on her, but it does kill all of the men. No men can go.
It emits something, and that's poison. It will just destroy the Y chromosome.
Apparently so.
John looks equally perplexed.
Yeah, he's like, damn, I wanted to go to the blue star. God damn it.
He's like, what is this? I'm sure you're making this up.
Yeah. Well, especially when they say, okay, Supergirl won't have her powers, so, the other people with powers should go. And then, oh, wait a minute, the men can't go. So that's left with... So Supergirl still wants to go. Saturn Girl's obviously volunteering. Hey, I'll come with her. That'll be fun. But even after that, she's like, yeah, this might still be too difficult. And, I don't have my powers. Anyone in that prison might be, really bad. And, fight me and so on, because it's Fort Rozz, it's a prison after all.
They all know who she is when they see that little symbol on her chest.
They do, and the one extra they paid for did say that when she saw it.
Yeah.
That sounds really... I actually like this episode. That sounded really cynical when I said that, as if I was being super critical of the episode.
But a couple of prisoners wouldn't have gone amiss.
Yeah. Well, we had the one dead man, because all the male prisoners died, obviously.
And a couple sucked out.
Oh, that's true, yeah. There was those sort of demonic-looking fellows, or not fellows, because obviously female, but they were very kind of... They reminded me a little bit of remember the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Remember the Hush episode? You had the gentleman.
Do you know what? Here's the thing. I was going to say the Silence from Doctor Who, but they look almost identical anyway. So and no, I'll allow it. Your one did it first.
Yeah. Sounds. Was that the one in Doctor Who where you couldn't remember them after you looked at them?
Yeah.
Okay. Just keeping that straight in my head. Of course, Hush was a fun episode of Buffy because that took everyone's voice away, so it was a silent episode. Everyone had to...
Very memorable episode.
Sign language and stuff, yeah. Season 4 wasn't the strongest season, but it had a couple of great one-and-dones in there. But anyway, so and this is the thing, so I was about to say Buffy there. So Supergirl says, okay, you're right, Jean, this might be too tough for Saturn Girl, and then me as well, depowered. We need more backup. And I thought... And it cut to something, and it cuts to like a diner, and before you see who it is, I was actually thinking... Okay, so obviously we're going to go for a superpowered lady of some kind, right? And I was like racking my brain, and I'm like, who is there? Unless she goes to like another show and like grabs, someone from Legends or something.
Yeah.
Jessie Quick maybe from Flash. She doesn't even know she exists.
I'm trying to think who's got powers on Legends that she could have borrowed.
Amaya's got her powers.
Do they count as? Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's useful in a fight. So.
That's true. I was just thinking, would they work on another planet? But no reason why not, I suppose.
Yeah, because it's not like Animal Man where she has to like
be near it. No, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, does she have to be connected in some way? But no, I don't think so.
I mean, maybe they could have to get into the nitty gritty and say she has to be connected to the Green. The Green, of course, has never been brought up in the show, but it's a concept in DC Comics that links Swamp Thing to the Earth, and the Green like links to all the animals, and that's what Animal Man.
It would be the red for the animals, right? Isn't it?
You're right, it's the red, but it's the red and the green. That's what I was thinking. The green's all the plants, so that's Swamp Thing. Animal Man taps into the red, and I don't think Vixen does tap into the red. But if they told me that our amulet does do that, then I wouldn't argue with it. It's, okay, that feels reasonable.
There'd be something there.
Yeah, but they've not done that in the show yet, so they could.
So they could have had her. It'd be fine.
So I'm like, who did they go into? And I was actually pleasantly surprised to see Livewire because I've actually. She's always been fun. I don't think her episodes that she's been in have necessarily been the greatest episodes, but she's always been enjoyable in them.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
And she's like doing and apparently she's got a job and trying to lay low because Reign's killing villains, so that all the villains are like hiding and hiding from the public and whatnot. And so Supergirl recruits her, kind of convinces her to come along and help. And then we find Sai's also coming, who we got earlier this season. I thought she seemed particularly evil to even trust with, because at least Livewire she was kind of a person before, and you like all we ever got of Sai was just like she wants to kill you by looking at you kind of thing.
Yeah, no, it was weird.
But that's it. This is a ragtag team, so they go into space. They
it's Supergirl doing Suicide Squad.
Kinda, yeah. That's kind of what it is. But it works with her because a big part of her character is compassion and believing people can
second chances and all that.
Yeah, atonement and all the rest of it. And so they take the Legion ship and fly off to the Fort Rozz, which is orbiting this blue star, and they get there. And I said, did you recognise the guest star, the big guest star we had?
It's what's the name that they're looking for, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember her name.
I can't remember
Rozz, because the prison was named after her.
Oh yeah, sure. But it was
she's from Superman, right?
Superman 1 and 2. She was Ursa.
Yes.
In those two movies, so that was a nice little cameo. The show. These shows love to do the cameos, and there's one in Flash as well this week. When we get to that, but yes, so they get there, and there's it's got the creepy kind of derelict ship. It's kind of creepy hallways, like we're all the bad guys kind of thing, creeping around.
Creepy dead body just happens to be lying around.
Yeah, we got Livewire jumps in and zaps the one that jumps out and tries to kill Supergirl, and Sai accidentally blasts Saturn Girl, Imra, with her psychic thing, which makes her feel a bit woozy, but. So all kind of goes in, and then eventually Supergirl and Livewire go back on. They're still trying to find what's her face from the movies. I can't remember her character's name, so I'm just going to call her Ursa, even though it's not Ursa.
Rozz.
Yeah, okay, Rozz, like Frasier, yeah. As in the show Frasier, there's a character in that called Rozz. I wasn't.
Yeah. This here, because Fort Rozz is named after her. It's pretty memorable.
Fair enough. It's for some reason my mind's not retaining it. I don't know why, but they're looking for her. And Reign on Earth, she's at her fortress, and it's like, they're going to Fort Rozz because they want to, find out, where all the other world killers are, so they're going to try and stop you. So she gets in a little ship and she goes off to Fort Rozz as well. And we end up with a pretty enjoyable kind of standoff. It was actually kind of exciting because Supergirl had no powers. And admittedly, before she arrived, I was thinking, wait, shouldn't Reign also not have powers when she gets there? And they immediately show that no, somehow she has powers. The exact same powers, but it doesn't rely on the sun. Yeah,
she just straight up says, "No, my powers don't come from the sun, so I'm good."
Yeah, I hope they delve into that a bit at some point.
They almost certainly won't.
I feel like it's. I feel like if you've teased that they don't come from the sun, you're going to have to tell me where they come from.
Yeah, because is that a way to stop her then?
Possibly.
I mean, isn't she was genetically engineered, right? To be this thing, so maybe they were just engineered into her like that. They were based on, okay, we know what a Kryptonian would look like under a yellow sun, so I'm going to base you on that.
Maybe, I guess. If anything, I'd be more inclined to it is still the sun, maybe. I know she said it wasn't, but let's just say it was still. But when they designed her, they basically gave her a big battery. To withhold the to keep in the charge for a while. Yeah, that's my simple explanation for it. But it did actually make for an interesting standoff because Supergirl's helpless in this scene, and it actually gives Livewire her big heroic moment. She has a couple of cool moments. I like when she gets sucked out of space and then she does her electric thing to get back in.
Come back in. Yeah, no, that was cool.
That was pretty cool. The her jumping to take the heat vision blast was a fine moment, but it was sullied a little bit because the way it was edited, it felt really slow. So by the time she jumped, it felt like that should have hit her like
that, and then the
ago.
actual jump, it looked like they just threw a dummy across the screen.
It wasn't, but it looked like that.
No, but that's why the way it just was. That's just, it really looked like it to me, and I was like, okay.
It was her, but it was like a proper leap. It felt like a dive to save a goal almost.
It just kind of like, oh, she's there.
And I always come back to, you know, and this every time this happens where someone's
again.
Just what?
Just blast them again.
Oh, not like that. I mean, yeah, sure, but no, push her out the way. Don't jump in front. Push her so Supergirl goes that way and you fall back this way.
To be fair, they kind of do that at the end of the episode.
They do kind of do that, so we'll get to that scene later. That's obviously teasing for more things, which that almost makes it worse. You did it in the same episode.
You're aware of the trope, and you're aware of the possibility of pushing out away.
Yeah, but it was a nice character thing because she kind of redeemed herself, and and she had a couple of funny moments as well when she's asking about like, man, what about this Imra chick? Is she like, are everyone in the future this hot? And like Supergirl's face when she says that, it's just like, oh, I'm going to strangle you.
Yeah, that's only on the CW.
Yeah, and then she's like, so who is she? She's like, oh, it's my ex-boyfriend's wife. It's like, oh, did you hate her with every fibre of your being? But
she just goes, it's not her fault. She doesn't say no. She goes, it's not her fault.
I like it though. This is the part of this kind of love stuff that can be fun. Is like she's still a decent person. She's not really like get to her, but there is like a just sort of natural, I'm going to hate her because kind of humor going around.
Yeah, that
can be fun. But no, so it worked well enough with her, and I did actually kind of like how Rain got defeated here. It was like she wasn't prepared for Sai. Like Sai actually.
Do you know what? I thought it was interesting in the moment, but was squandered afterwards. Because in the moment, I thought, oh no, okay, she's ripped the personality back and made her Sam, not Rain. Because she softens and she looks at Supergirl like she's like, where am I?
For about 5-10 seconds, yeah.
Right, but then when she's back later and when she's talking to Alex, she clearly has no recollection of that.
Yeah. Admittedly, her not remembering when she goes back to being proper.
It feels wasted
weird.
because of that. I feel like that memory would have been like a really good thing to explore with her. Maybe they still will, and she might think she imagined it.
She might like try and remember, or she might remember it or something. It'll come back to her when she's whatever. Because it wasn't like a natural turn; it was kind of like a forced thing. Because obviously she has that vision of her daughter, kind of, and she's freaking out. Her looking terrified, like for that 5 seconds though, was kind of an exciting little beat. Like it worked well,
and it felt like, oh no, this is a clue as to her weakness. It's the daughter, because the vision was her losing the daughter, as her being pulled away from her, and that's when she snapped back into, shall we say, mum mode. Yeah,
it's the idea that Rain's pulling Sam back from her daughter is like that deep fear within. So even though she's Rain, the psyche kind of like unleashed that, and it brought her back for a split second. So everything about it I actually kind of like in terms of the logic and how it's just
the way it's kind of brushed over afterwards.
Yeah, so hopefully they bring it back up. But for the most part though, the live wire sacrifice, all her cool little moments, and then finding out like Sai's like a potential threat to Rain because of this. At least for now. Maybe Rain can learn to fight it like Supergirl kind of did. But at least for now, I thought that was interesting. It was like, it didn't rob her of her threat because I believe it's a believable thing she didn't prepare for and couldn't fight.
Right, exactly. I mean, they remind us how powerful Sai was here. Obviously, Supergirl, but she out-jeweled John.
That's true. Yeah. They might even made a point of mentioning that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So that side of the plot, I quite enjoyed. Yeah, a couple of nitpicks, but I think I was just having fun with it because it was like, oh, we're actually going on a spaceship and we're going to fly to this station, out in space.
It was a blast.
And even the jokes, there were, I think it's Live where I said, oh, so do I have to go to sleep in like some, hibernation pods till we get there? And then Orb was just like, no, we're here. It's like, what? It's a fast ship. Yeah. Like, all right, future tech. Which leads me to one of the subplots that kind of relate right into this is Win and Brainy and their bonding, shall we call it.
God, Brainy is so much fun.
Brainy's great. I particularly love the moment where he's just kind of like gobsmacked at how crappy technology is compared to what he's used to, and he actually says, "This is what backs up Supergirl when she goes out." And it's even the way he emphasizes Supergirl. This is what backs up Supergirl when she goes out.
And then he follows that up with, I've seen espresso machines with more processing power than this.
Before that sentence, my favourite part of the whole thing was, she's more braver than I ever thought. Gold.
I'm sure he didn't say more braver. I think Brainy would have been grammatically correct.
More brave, whatever. Like, hey, I'm not here to teach English class, okay?
No, just I feel like when you if you're gonna misquote someone, don't make it a 12th level intellect.
That doesn't even exist though, right? This is fictional intellect, so shut up. Right? Anyway, so they go back and forth, and Wynn's constantly been put down all episode because Brady keeps insulting everything that's around, and it's great. But then ultimately it comes nice full circle because Wynn gets a win over Brainy. Because Brady's like, yeah, well, we can't communicate and the comms are down because of solar flares and whatnot. Yeah, well, you don't have, what was it, cold fusion? You don't have that? Oh, why would that be useful?
Well, that's the thing. He was like, what do we have in this technology? It's like, you got nuclear power, right? And they're like, yeah, we got nukes. We can do that. And he's like, right, okay, cool, right, cold fusion. And Wynn's just there shaking his head. He's like,
we don't have.
Like, why are you shaking your head? It's like, yeah, we don't have cold fusion.
But he cracks a joke about sending a message in a bottle, and then Wynn's like, oh, the Voyager, and he's like, oh, I can beam it off that, and then Brady's just like, oh. And do you know what I like about it? Again, it's not that he's being dumb here, it's just a part of history he doesn't know or remember. Yeah. Like, it's such a small part of history when you're that far in the future that you wouldn't know about it. This is...
Yeah. So. And I mean, they've established they've had some history things, right? Weird, because Monel had to teach him a lot.
A lot. Yeah, they don't know a lot about history pre whatever year.
Yeah, I don't think they exactly said when, or if they did, I don't recall. But
because they taught them about Bon Jovi, because that's been lost to history too.
That is a shame. Crime against humanity. That.
Oh dear. So that was good fun stuff. That was fun stuff. That was a sentence that even came out with the sounds. I'm not even trying to speak tonight. But no, so that was fun. And then what I also thought was fairly entertaining. Now, admittedly, the setup here, and we've said this before, we've said this a few times, that, okay, Alex wants a kid. There's a kid who might possibly not have a parent come the end of this season, depending on how the Rain plot wraps up. It's quite obvious what they're maybe setting up with this. That said, everything with I forgot her name.
Ruby,
thank you. Everything with Ruby and Alex, I actually kind of like the chemistry. The way they're handling it's actually kind of working.
It's hit or miss for me. There's some things in this that I thought, this is fantastic. I thought this was, great fun. And there were other moments where I was just like, ugh. Oh,
but here's a question though. Were the moments where it didn't work for you when they brought up Maggie?
A lot of them, but not all of them.
Yeah, but Alex being like, hey, we're going to watch The Shining. Or Alex going to the bully who's been saying bad things about her on Facebook and like showing her badge and like threatening her with like lawsuits and indictments and whatever else. I don't know, that was working for me.
No, that stuff was fun. There was just a few times when they were sat around the apartment where I was just like, okay, this feels kind of cringy.
I don't know. I expect a certain level of cringe on this show.
So I'm not forgiving it though. I mean, it stood out.
It didn't to me. It felt well within line with what the show typically will do. But I mostly kind of like this stuff actually, surprisingly, because if you'd said there's going to be a subplot where like Ruby and Alex like go hunting her school bully, I'd be like, like, is that going to be fun? But honestly, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't want a whole episode to revolve around that. But is the C plot?
Well, you're getting one though.
No, I'm not.
Give it time.
I'll trust them. Why not?
Brave.
Hey, they gave us a pretty good episode with teenage Alex and Kara, and
they did.
They gave us a Smallville episode essentially, and it made it much better than Smallville did 99% of the time. So,
Yep.
I'll give credit where it's credit. No, I was fine with that stuff. So no, that was good. Yeah, so I didn't think it was as strong as last week. And obviously, I'm not forgetting the last scene. We'll talk about that. Or the fact that when Sam comes back, she's like acknowledging the fact that she's missing time. Like she's like blacking out whenever she becomes Rain and doesn't know what's happening. So and she's telling that to Alex as well. So it'll be interesting to see how like I was kind of not expecting her to be the one that finds out first, or not to find out that she's Rain, but at least be on the path
something going
to
on,
something's going on. Because I think mostly because out of all the people interacting with Sam, Alex is kind of on the bottom end of it. I mean, obviously she's not interacting with Jean or anything like that, but I mean, out of the people she's actually met, Alex is kind of low
Okay,
down
no,
on the ladder.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
You know,
It's mostly Lena and Kara, isn't it?
Yeah. And even the fact that there seem to be consequences this time, because previous times when she's like disappeared, Lena doesn't seem to care, but at the end here she's looking at her phone and like Lena's called her like 100 times because she's missed some big important business meeting.
Yeah.
She was meant to be on, so that's fine. The final scene, what I'll say about the final scene, we cut to these two characters we've never met before, and obviously we've been setting up, and the one thing that Supergirl does find out during the episode is that there's going to be more Reigns, there's going to be more world killers that are on Earth. Right,
Yeah,
she loves that.
Two names, what were they? Pestilence and...
I can't remember. But so we cut to these two characters, and I'm like, okay, so one of these is going to turn out to be, you know, kind of like Sam and be a sort of sleeper,
yeah,
Krypton agent, whatever. And Joe, was funny as the scene was happening, because what one woman was white, one was black, and as they were talking, I really started to hope it was the black woman, because the white woman could not act for shit. She was terrible. She was awful, and I was like, please let her just be the one who's here to like. Let her have her opening scene so that she has someone to save or whatever.
I was a little concerned that they were both them at first.
Yeah, because like I say, she could not act. Luckily, that turned out to be the case. She was just the extra there to give the other her scene, and she gets like she pushes her out the way of the car, as you kind of mentioned earlier, and she's like, "Hey, I've got super strength. I'm invulnerable."
And
What's
the
happening?
car slams right into it. It seems like it's aiming for them as well. Like this car, it kind of revs up at them. Doesn't seem like they're just crossing the road and they get hit.
Yeah, I kind of just assumed it lost control. I mean, unless I'm trying to think of why they'd have a reason. Unless like they want to trigger her powers, so they think that.
Could do, yeah.
Then again, it was aiming for the other one, not her.
Well, I mean, they were kind of just together, weren't they? It would have been aiming for both of them. She just pushed her out the way.
I think I'd have to rewatch the scene to see how far apart they were, because
yeah, no, that's fair.
I think in my head I've got like her friend stepping out first, and then the car comes in, and then.
No, okay, again, I'd have to rewatch it as well.
I think we're probably reading too much into this, though. I think the car just lost control, and
probably
like, we're never going to hear about this again. We're just going to know that she's now powered, and she'll show up with Rain at some point.
Yeah, I did think it lingered on her face far too long before it did the eye flicker.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. And I do want to mention actually, Mon-El in this episode. I mean, it was okay. He was fine. Like, you know,
didn't really have a lot to do, did he?
He didn't. But the reason why I'm bringing him up is because he has a talk with Kara when she comes back, and she's feeling kind of upset about Livewire and how and he gives her this little speech about how, oh, you gave her something to fight for. She believed in something. She went out kind of a hero because like she actually she cared about something, and because of that she didn't die sort of, you know, with no meaning. And I actually laughed at the end of this because it was an okay little speech. It was not, you know, it wasn't bad. It wasn't annoying because Mon-El can be annoying.
You can.
But Kara just sort of laughing and saying, hey, your advice here actually kind of makes sense now. And I thought, that's a very meta moment, actually, because she's right. His advice almost never made sense last season.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention that, because I had that thought as she was saying that.
I have a question. It's not directly related to the episode, but as we established in the intro here, I often don't pay attention at the start and end of things where, you know, where it's just on repeat. Your introductions, I don't pay attention because you just say the same thing.
Dude, talking about the "My name is Kara Zor-El" that intro.
Yeah, has that changed?
It's been changed all season.
But has it changed this episode? Because I feel like I don't know. I thought I knew what it was in my head, and then it just seemed different this week.
In what sense? I mean, there might be some different clips, but I think the speech and the music's been the same.
Okay, maybe
since it came back, because if you remember, the first like 3 or 4 didn't have it because we kept commenting on it at the start of the season. But once it came back, it's been this music and this general speech.
Okay, fair enough. For some reason, it just stuck out as different to me this week. Maybe it's just me paying attention once.
Maybe you still just remember the old one, and then you're like,
maybe that's still residually in my head.
What's going on? This is all different. Nah, it's definitely been the same music, and I think the speech was the same. I mean, I've not been paying that much attention to it. Like,
this is the thing; it might well be, and I just haven't paid attention in a while, and I'm like, oh, hey, this feels different.
No, I really enjoyed the episode. I think it wasn't as strong as last week's. I really loved last week's. This was kind of a solid follow up, though, for me.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, so no, so I guess we'll move on to The Flash, which is season 4, episode 11. It's called the Elongated Night Rises. I love that title.
Yes. That's night with a K, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That is a mouthful of a title.
The Elongated Night Rises. I feel like the Elongated Night would have been enough for the pun
but
they
wanted the play on Dark Knight Rises.
But why did they need that? Because like what I'm saying is I think Elongated Night on its own tells you the episode's about his becoming a hero anyway.
It does.
And arguably, Night on its own, like the Dark Knight is a more notable title and recognizable than Dark Knight Rises is.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
That'd be my.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything in the movie that particularly parallels the episode.
Oh yeah, that time Batman stretched out to shield someone from acid.
Look, I didn't say there was.
Oh god. Anyway, so Barry's in prison. The first thought I have in this episode is that Barry Allen, or perhaps the writers or set dressers or whoever, but someone in this show clearly does not know how tally marks work.
No, it was awful.
You put a score through after you get 4. You put a score through to make 5.
Also, I have a question. Are the prison guards all utter shite? I mean, he's doing this. We know he's doing this with his, his speedy finger. That's fine. But are they not seeing? Hey, he's carving something into the wall here, and it's updating every day. Maybe we should search and see if he has something.
They won't find anything.
Yeah, but then they'll come back the next day and say, "Hang on, you've added another line there."
And they'll search again. They won't find anything.
Yeah, but I'd have liked some acknowledgement.
I feel like because I know they'll not find anything, I can just kind of say that plays out between episodes and just imagine what it will be. And every day it'll just be like, Barry Allen, damn it, how are you doing this? And they'll just leave, annoyed every time.
Yeah, but Wolf says he's a model prisoner.
That's true. I don't know. After the courtroom stuff last week, are you really criticising this?
I don't know why.
This is an episode.
Just because this is better than the last one doesn't mean it gets off the hook for stupid things.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this is not anywhere near as stupid as some of the stuff it pulled last week.
It's not, but just because it's not as stupid doesn't mean it gets a free pass.
All I'm saying is I'm not that fixated on it. I guess is my point. I'm more bothered by the tally marking skills than I am the fact that the guards aren't paying attention to it.
You worry about one, I'll worry about the other. Then between us, we got both covered.
So they do acknowledge that Barry could phase out, and Cisco's apparently actually working on getting control of the security system in the prison so that he can do that without being spotted.
So we can have the Flash for the rest of the season.
Which is actually be interesting if they actually because that could conceivably let them have him be outside and still be in the prison for a longer. Because if he was in the prison and couldn't be the Flash while he was in there, this would be over in 2 episodes.
Yeah, I think my problem with doing that though is it'll kind of get to a point where it'll feel like there's no consequence to him being in prison regardless. So why are we bothering? Because it'll be like, well, we can just spend 90% of the episode with him out and go, okay, I'm going back to prison. See you in a bit.
You've had a problem there that's not really that problem for me. My problem is why is he in prison anyway when he knows he did nothing wrong? All you've done there is extend that. What's the consequence of him going to prison? Well, there shouldn't be a consequence because he didn't do the wrong thing in the first place.
No.
Which does beg the question.
He's a stubborn prick for whatever reason.
But we've questioned his logic, in
Yeah.
the past few episodes. So we just have to roll with it. We're in prison now.
Hey, remember the one before Christmas where we gave him the benefit of the doubt?
Yeah, we said we'll see how it plays out when we come back, and then that's what we got last week. Yeah, I don't know, but alas, Barry's in prison, and do you know what's funny? So Iris comes to see him towards the start of the episode, right? And she's like, "Oh, but I can't touch you." And and he looks at the camera, and I thought, "Oh, he's going to phase through the glass maybe when the camera's not looking," and then he didn't, and I'm like, "Why didn't he do it? What gives? What's the point of this?" Right? And at the end of the episode, she comes back, and he looks for the camera, and then he phases through the glass, and the sweet, romantic version of the Flash theme plays as they're holding hands. Apparently, I don't know if they've ever established this, although I remember us questioning this actually. I can't tell you the episode, right? But I remember us questioning at one point when someone had to have something surgically removed. I remember questioning, can he phase through, solidify his fingers, and then keep the wrist phasing so that he can be inside and then pull back out?
That.
I remember that debate. Turns out he can, because he does it here. He goes through the glass, keeps his wrist vibrating so he can be phased, but he's holding Iris's hand. It's a sweet moment. I mean, the moment itself is fine, but it bugged me how why didn't he just do it the first time? It was weird. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, the camera's still just looking right at it. People can see that. Why didn't he do the thing from last episode where he just completely froze time and then go through?
Oh, that is a rabbit hole of just Like,
it is, but they introduced it.
How many times since the start of this show have we said, why doesn't he just chase after the car that gets away when he lets criminals?
Fine. Yeah, but I can allow it when they're doing it for, if freaks getting away, because you got to have a show. This was just for the sake of drama.
Not metas or villains, freaks.
I couldn't think of the right term. I was like, what do we use on this show?
No.
I just resorted to Freak of the Week. I was like, Freak'll do.
No, that was a Smallville term.
I mean, it was, but it's a very common term still.
Mm-hmm.
Still used, Freak of the Week.
But yeah, so the plot in the prison is some guys want to shank him. This other guy, played by Goldberg, a wrestler, saves him. And then we find out that his dad saved him because at one point he had his appendix removed by his dad in the prison. Because the prison doctor went home. And it was like, oh, he's going to die. So Henry Allen...
I feel like prison doctor should be a 24-hour position. Not the same doctor, obviously, but they should have someone on staff. Because, hey, it's a prison, someone might get stabbed at night.
I think Iron Heist is corrupt, and they're saying, hey, if someone gets stabbed at night, that's one less mouth to feed.
I mean, maybe that's what they're trying to tell me. They were unclear on their messaging.
I don't know. Yeah, it does seem like something that should. I mean, it's not like hospitals shut down after like 10 o'clock at night, where it's like, okay, that's
exactly. It's like, medical emergencies can still happen in a prison in the middle of the night. Someone can get appendicitis at 3 a.m.
Which is actually kind of bizarre when you think about it, that people in prisons actually get quicker medical aid than most people because there should be an on-call, doctor at the prison because they can't just take them to the hospital quickly.
Right, exactly.
So they actually have much quicker access. That's just kind of amusing to me that they have better healthcare.
At least for basic things, sure.
For basic,
anything serious, they'll still have to take them to the hospital, but...
Yeah, it just amuses me. It's like living with a nurse.
Yeah, no, that's it. My mother was a nurse, so it's like, okay. I never went to the hospital when I was younger. It's like, okay, I've got a big gash in my hand. Mom, do you want to sort this out? Yeah,
that's basically the plot of it, and they try to fight Barry. He uses his speed to dodge the punches and just kind of set them up so they hit each other and that kind of thing. Yeah. Prison plot was okay. I didn't necessarily like it. I didn't necessarily dislike it. It was just kind of...
It was fine, yeah.
It was just kind of what it was. It didn't piss me off, so I'll take that as a win.
Yeah.
The other plot, of course, is that Ralph is sort of rising up to be the hero of Central City. He's got his shitty outfit still.
Because Wally pissed off.
Exactly. And he's saving people from a hostage situation. A very health-conscious hostage taker, might I add.
He was, wasn't he? He was like, I'm on a diet.
Yeah,
watching calories, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's like, I want like a car and a helicopter and a salad. I'm watching calories.
Yeah. No. And the first thing he wanted was he asked for a car. But it was like, it was got to be a hybrid.
That's right, it was a Prius. He wants a Prius.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. But yeah, so Ralph does that, and he's on TV, but he's got his shitty outfit, and he's not really got a name yet. They call him Stretchy Man on TV. He's not happy about it. So okay, he's going to get named by the end of this episode. It's just a question of how and who, who comes up with it and how. That's kind of the thing. And he's obviously getting his better outfit as well. And the Trickster's not back. Well, at least Mark Hamill Trickster's not back. His son Trickster is back. We see him in the prison at first.
Trickster Jr.
Yeah, and then we find that Prank from the original Flash TV show, the same actress, is playing his mother, because naturally, of course, and she breaks him out, and they team up, and they use acid on Dibney, which burns his knee, and that gives him
not acid.
Acid. Yes, acid. I'm sorry. That sounds stupid.
Because if Trickster wasn't knockoff Joker already.
Acid. I hate it. Anyway.
Yeah, me too.
But so that's Dibney's kind of his arc for the episode, where he basically, as soon as he finds out he can actually be hurt, because we see him take like a bomb and he just kind of balloons up, and we see him get stars thrown at him and all sorts of things, and as soon as he realizes he can actually get hurt, he's like, "Oh, I'm not doing this anymore. I can get hurt.
I'm out."
Yeah, which led to a really nice reference that I quite enjoyed actually, which is Iris says, "Oh, I guess we know what your kryptonite is," and I'm actually really glad they had Dibney go, "Huh? What's kryptonite?" Because they don't know that from pop culture. That's not a pop culture reference.
Yeah, no.
It's a reference to Supergirl, and he's not met her. That was a nice moment. That worked for me. I was like, what the hell's kryptonite? Especially when everyone seemed annoyed at him for not knowing what kryptonite was. I'm like, no, be fair, guys.
They're going, keep up, Ralph. Read the files.
Yeah. So that was nice. There's another movie reference later on as well when he gets his suit. It's in a little box because it's tiny because it stretches. Yeah. And there's an Evil Dead reference because he says groovy. The camera tracks in and the eyebrow goes up and he says groovy. It's Evil Dead.
I thought you'd enjoy that one.
I did enjoy that one. So that's the whole thing. His suit itself, I mean, it's not the comic suit. I mean, that's the first thing you'd say.
Yeah, it's fine. It's better than the grey.
It is better. He's got a proper eye mask thing. It does have the colour scheme, give or take.
Ish.
Yeah, there's a bit of red there, a bit of white.
A lot of black, though. Or I don't know, maybe that was just the lighting. It
was more of a dark red when you see it.
Okay, that's
lit
fair.
up, I think. But yeah, so they've got kind of the colours there. The comics have more of a sort of like big, bulkier kind of stripe, or not stripe, more of a pointy thing. But it's it's different from this. This looked more of just a get out for breaking into somewhere.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, I mean, I love with it, but
it's serviceable.
It's like he stretches in, like he's had his speech from because he stretches into the prison to speak to Barry. Barry gives him a pep talk. Now he's the one inspiring other people, and he stretches in, big landing in the scene, and he sort of lands like crouched down and stands up, and it's the big reveal of the suit. And my reaction was, oh, okay, that's what they went with.
Yeah, it's like okay.
So it's not horrible to look at. It's just really mediocre. It's just kind of standard.
Yeah, pretty much.
So Prank and Trickster are doing their whole thing, and Ralph makes the sacrifice. He does the whole kind of umbrella thing over the top of Caitlin, and
I love his screaming because it's set up earlier when he gets the acid on his knee.
Yeah,
and he has an amazing, awful scream.
Yeah, because he thinks it's still going to burn him, but meanwhile, of course, Harry's like trying to like do something with it. He's trying to like remix it with something else to neutralize it, and we don't think he's made it in time, but we find out, of course, no, he did it.
He got it.
He got it at the last second, which did actually one of my other favourite lines of this episode is when they're like, "Oh, we need to be there to save these civilians in 58 minutes," and he's like, "I only need 57" as he walks out.
Yeah,
that was a pretty good line.
He's great.
So that's fun. And that's kind of the episode for the most part.
Yeah, I like the usual banter, especially Cisco and Harry. About the bubble gum on the Earth.
Yeah, the running joke about like just scaring Caitlin to bring out Killer Frost.
Yeah, they just shell the name for high school bully.
Yeah, or even just the little joke where I actually thought we were going to get a scene from this. I was actually disappointed because they're all leaving to sort of try and track down where Prank's been. And Dibney's going to one of his local spots to like maybe question some people. He's like, "Oh, I need a chaperone. Caitlin, you come with me and use Killer Frost's credit card to buy the drinks." And I thought, "Oh man, I want a scene of them like hanging out together because I feel like that'd be a fun pairing." And then we never got that scene, so that kind of sucked.
No. I mean, we did get them going to get coffee at the end though.
I hadn't forgotten about that scene, and that was Cisco and.
That's what I was referring to.
Oh, which reminds me, what was it he said? He says, "I'm." He used a pun. It was his name, like indestructible, but
It was Imdib something.
Yeah. Oh.
Indestructible? I don't know.
It wasn't that. Maybe it wasn't indestructible.
It wasn't quite as long.
Yeah.
It was indestructible. It was definitely that.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Indestructible or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really hard to say, isn't it?
It cracked me up though. It cracked me up
too.
when he said it. I'm digging Dimney. And as for the name, where he just kind of says, "I'm an elongated man," like I thought, that was I do like the joke though. He hates his name still though. He's like, "Oh, this is never going to stick," and everyone's like, "It'll probably stick. It's fine."
Yeah, Cisco kind of dropped the ball on this one. Don't know why he's been playing it.
Okay, well,
it's not like him to wait so long.
Let's be honest, Plastic Man's a better name, but that's taken. So
it is.
So that's it. And Mr. Fantastic's fine for Mr. Fantastic, but it makes no sense in any other person.
There was a point where I think they were referencing it because he said Mister and then he gets cut off.
Yeah.
When he's trying to think of his name.
Well, they already referenced Plastic Man, when he first popped up. So
but
wouldn't surprise me.
That one was a much more obvious reference.
Yeah. So the final scene. And both Cisco and Ralph have not brought money to pay for coffee. Cisco was under the impression that he was having it purchased for him because he thought Dimney was.
Don't know why he thought Ralph would do that.
I feel like Ralph probably just said that, and then as soon as he got there, was like, "Oh yeah, it's on you."
Yeah,
Sounds like a Ralph thing to do. But the mystery girl from the wedding appeared and paid for them, and then very awkwardly stood there smiling.
Fangirled.
Yeah, fangirl, basically. That's a good way of putting it. And they're just like, okay, that's a nice shirt. Oh yeah, Oregon Trail. I love that. It's a classic. And they're like, okay. And there was another fun joke where Cisco's like, oh, pretty girl, and Ralph's not, hitting on her. He's like, nah, she seems too smart for me. It's like, self-awareness. You're improving.
Hope, yeah.
But then we see the last little tease is we see her, like, she's sitting, she's still kind of watching them, and I mean, she's not in a creepy way, she's smiling. She's, again, it's total fangirl mode. Yeah. But she's writing in a little journal, and the camera comes in, she's writing in the language that Barry was writing in when he came out of the Speed Force. And all I could think was, her house is bitchin', right?
It's gotta be. I hope that's just the name of her house. You know how some people name their houses instead of numbers because they're weird?
What, you mean actually on the front door they put...
Bitchin', yeah. Some people do. Some people put the names of a house instead of numbers.
It's a thing. What if you're delivering something and, typically you expect them to go up in a row because it's, 1, 3, 7, so on.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you find the one if they've got a stupid name?
I don't know, but they do it.
This is maddening.
Is this new information to you?
I have genuinely never heard of this.
Oh, okay. Where I grew up, there was a bunch of them.
What a bunch of pompous asshats.
Oh, yeah. They're pricks of the highest order.
I mean, I'm not going to say I wouldn't name a house, but I wouldn't actually officially name the house. I wouldn't put it on the door. I wouldn't make people deliver to that.
There's no number. When you address it to them, it's like, name, then name of the house. Not number. I mean, name of the house, then the street.
It's fine when you're like the Fox building and you have a giant Fox logo like on the window,
or if you're like a manor just in the middle of nowhere, you're the only one.
Yeah, it's obvious. It's obviously you because you're the only building.
Yeah, like Wayne Manor. You're
yeah,
Wayne Manor.
That's fine. Yeah, that's Wayne Manor in like a city because that's like all you need.
Right.
Yeah. So.
But no, people do this. It's a thing.
Maddening. So I hope it's not that. Are we still on board that this is probably Barry Iris' daughter or granddaughter?
Daughter or granddaughter, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they could swerve it with someone else's offspring, but they're obviously the obvious ones to say obvious more times than I should.
Yeah, the only other option is, Cisco Gypsy.
Well, Joan and Cecile are pregnant. Let's not rule them out.
Oh, I forgot about them. I haven't seen Cecile since last week, so...
You're going to say it in forever last week.
No, this is the thing. I intentionally suppressed her last week because she was awful at her job.
She was awful at her job last week, but...
So I'm like, no, she wasn't there. She wasn't making that worse.
Yeah. Oh well, that's Flash, I guess.
Yep.
It was better than last week's.
It was.
Still had some issues. The actors and the characters... kind of get you through some of the sillier plots, I feel.
Yeah, probably. It's not like if you take out that stuff, the banter between them, it's not great.
Yeah, it would be a dull thing to get through this episode if it wasn't for the characters. And I loved it when just before the groovy moment and Ralph comes out and says, "No, I'll go." I loved it when it's Frost and Cisco get kidnapped. Like, Iris, who's on her own, just grabs that big, ridiculous, like, made-up energy gun. And she's like, right, I'm coming, guys. And I'm like, man, I almost want, like, the Iris Die Hard.
You want to see this, yeah.
I want to see her, like, bust in with this big-ass gun and, like, take out the trickster and the prank. But hey, so it's the characters kind of what makes it work. And Barry's likable, but obviously he's the straight man because he's the lead.
Yeah, and now you separate him from everyone. It makes him less interesting.
Yeah, his stuff is by far the least interesting because of that. Everyone else kind of being on their own and dealing with the situations is a bit more fun. So yeah. That's Flash. So I guess we'll move on. We'll move on to Black Lightning, which airs after it. It's episode 2 of season 1. It's called Lawanda, the Book of Hope. So, we really liked episode 1, and we're back with episode 2. I'm happy to say I think the quality kept up.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah, there was a couple of... It's like, I was enjoying it anyway, but there was like a couple of moments where, again, it kind of surprised me. Not because it was necessarily more dark or heavy than the first episode, but just because, oh yeah, I forgot that this does this, where...
Yeah, I think it was inherently slightly less exciting than the first episode because first episode, everything's new. It's
sure,
this
yeah.
is,
I was a little bit concerned at first because I felt like in the first episode we already had the journey to him deciding to put on the suit again. So when this one started and it was kind of that same, oh, you're done, right? Like that was just to get the girls back and you're going to be a normal, high school principal again. I was a little bit worried that we're going to dwell too much on that. But I actually liked the reason why, the decision, because I was a little bit worried with the mum who, she's lost a daughter as well, who she's pretty sure is in this motel that's operating the prostitutes, and she blames the 100 gang, and she's upset that no one's doing anything about it. Her husband's also dead. Her husband was a soldier who died fighting, and she's like, taking matters into her own hands. She's like surveying. She's got cameras out. She's like hanging outside the club. And she's talking to the press, and we know that the gang like to eliminate people who they see
as they're
as threats.
told in this time. We know what happens to witnesses.
Exactly, and so there's a point where she's like Jefferson's talked her down a little bit, but she's still kind of doing it anyway. And she's there one night. Lala shows up with these guys, and she gets out. And while she was walking up to them, what I was thinking was, okay, we're going to have the same thing where now she gets... Because there's enough in the episode to show that Jefferson cares about her. This used to be one of his students. There's just enough with her to make her feel like a real person, so you kind of care about her a little bit. Not in a big way, but she's not just...
Relatable.
She's not just a red shirt, right? This is what I'm saying. And I'm like, okay, is she going to get kidnapped again, just like his daughter? So for 2 episodes in a row, I was worried that it was going to be the same thing. Kidnap, and then he has to put on his suit to go and save them. She just gets shot brutally.
She knows she's going to as well.
Yeah,
she knows what's going to happen.
She sets up a camera. Yeah, she makes herself a martyr. She has it recorded in a car from a distance. Because I mean, if nothing else, the guy responsible for her daughter will go to prison for this. And
I think that's exactly what she's aiming for. Yeah, best case scenario is it does shut down it, and permanently this time because, as they say, there was backup and running 2 days later.
What impressed me about this scene was that it didn't build up to it. He just pulled out his gun and did it because he was annoyed, like almost immediately.
Yeah, he's not monologuing.
Yeah.
The two henchmen grab her and he just shoots her. That's it.
Yeah. He tries to shrug her off for the first 2 seconds, but when she doesn't shut up, that's it.
Just 3 shots to the chest.
It's really brutal. It doesn't cut away. You see again, I almost expected to go to a wide shot. The classic wide shot with the gunshots. Yeah. And instead, it didn't. It actually did that earlier when he was killing the guy from last episode, his cousin. Mm-hmm. But now here it was like, no. You see the squibs go off in her chest. Like it feels brutal, and she goes down.
There's another point. Obviously this is the most relatable thing to it in tone and style is Arrow. This is better, obviously.
All right.
But I feel like we don't see blood very often in Arrow, given how violent they are. Maybe that's just...
No, not really. Actually, if anything, I thought the fight at the mid-season finale of Supergirl was way more brutal than what we typically see on Arrow.
Even there's a bit where Black Lightning's going up a stairway, and he kicks a guy in the face, and his nose crunches, and blood splatters.
Yeah, it's just a bit more mature, and even even when there's a scene with Tobias. Again, it's only a couple. I like how they're not overdoing Tobias. We're getting a couple of scenes of him each episode. But he's pissed at Lala, and there was like so much like racial language going flying around in this scene.
I was shocked because at first he just says, I think he says darkies.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I get where you're going with that.
Yeah, I get why that's kind of like the substitute because we obviously don't want to say anything else on CW.
And then 3 seconds later, okay, never mind.
I mean, they didn't go fully, but they went far enough that I was genuinely kind of like, okay. I mean, like all of it surprised me.
Yeah.
And so that really, I've got one scene to kind of make fun of actually with how it kind of it did both we're mature and we're more edgy than the other CW shows, but we're also going to great lengths to not go too far. I'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay. I mean, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
So it's after this, of course, that he is like, yeah, this isn't enough. Because what I do like is I like that... Because I think one of the worries we had with the ex-wife character, with Lynn, last episode, is that we're like, okay, she's going to be this roadblock, she's going to keep like talking about it. And I thought that he was going to start being Black Lightning again, but try and hide it from her. And I thought it was going to be this plot line. I actually kind of loved that after the mum dies, he just unloads at her. And not in a bad way, not in like a... like an aggressive way in the sense that he's blaming her, but just in a way like, no, I've been holding this in, and you're partly responsible for me holding this in, and I don't care. Like, if being Black Lightning, if going out there and helping, like if that is at the sacrifice, if that is at the cost of not being back with you, I'm taking it because I don't care. It's the hero speech basically.
It is.
And I like that the motivation as well is that the woman who died was his student, because his argument last episode was that I've saved more lives, being a principal and raising these kids to be better. But then the idea
getting them out of this system.
Yeah, but then she dies anyway, even though she was his student. So
it's like, what's he accomplishing?
Yeah. So, I mean, you could argue there's a bit of a weird mixed message where being a high school principal is not enough. You have to also be a vigilante, which is a weird thing to send out into the world, but it works for his motivations.
You got to have it for a superhero show. Yeah. Just kind of get on with that.
Yeah.
I have a question. Are his powers killing him?
Joe, it's funny you say that, because, you have that scene earlier on where it's presumably just after the first episode.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, again, we saw him, because I think when we saw the flashback of him in the bath, we kind of assumed he just got the shit beat out of him, and that's why he was in pain.
Yeah.
Whereas here, we just kind of see that he's kind of struggling to get up, and his powers are kind of pulsating through his arms. I don't know if it's necessarily killing him. I wonder if it's like, because he's not flexed those muscles in a long time, it takes a lot out of him. Or if it's
maybe because he goes and takes the drugs, right? Yeah. Which, I mean, maybe they're just painkillers. I don't know what they are exactly. They're just in a tub.
Yeah. I wonder if it's kind of like the Flash, where it drains him a lot, so he has to he can't just keep using them continuously. He has to kind of recharge over time.
Yeah. Like at first, I thought that gunshot that he took last episode, he kind of just shrugged off. I thought, oh, maybe that's actually had more of an impact. And then you see the powers like pulsating up his whole body. I'm like, oh no, okay, no, something's going on here with his powers.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure where they're going with it, because obviously, okay, sure, eventually his daughters could potentially take over for him, but he's still the lead character of the show, so we're not going to have him lose his powers anytime soon, or be inactive anytime soon. That's not going to be something we get to too quickly. But it's interesting to see where they're going with that.
And the ex-wife seems to know, because as soon as he's kind of struggling around, she comes down and she doesn't question what's going on. She seems to know exactly what's happening.
Yeah, she's seen this before. Like, she understands what this is, which is maybe against my idea that it's just because he's not been doing it for a long time and it's taken its toll because he's not flexed those muscles. So that kills that idea if that's exactly what it used to be like as well. But
it's hard to say. We don't have too much to go on.
Yeah, then of course you have a scene where he goes to see Lala to confront him. Because actually, another scene that I really loved in this episode, although I do have to question, so his cop buddy, Henderson, I need to learn his name, Inspector Henderson, he puts out a cop car in front of his house, just in case, because what happens to witnesses, and he's worried about his daughters. Jefferson's worried that there'll be retaliation, or they'll try and take them out. And we see the kid from the first episode that we know was working for Lala, right? And I'm like, oh, we know that kid. And he walks past the cop car, and the cop's like, it's just a kid. It's not a big deal. And even though it's a kid, I still feel like when he's got up to the house, up to the door, that's when the cop should probably go up and question him and say, why are you here?
I feel like they surely have enough awareness of the gangs to know that kids are involved, right?
Yeah, you would think so, yeah.
Because I don't think that's that uncommon in real life either,
Unfortunately, no, yeah, it's not.
Exactly. So you think, okay, they're beyond awareness that, okay, maybe they'll try and sneak someone past by sending in a kid.
Yeah. So that's my criticism of this scene, is I think those cops are idiots. They should probably be suspended, if not fired. But I love this scene otherwise, though, because obviously Jennifer doesn't know who it is, but it comes up and he thinks he's selling something, and he just pulls out what looks like a gun. It looks like a real gun at first, because it's so quick. He just kind of quickly pulls it out, and he's like, "Oh, this is dark as shit." And obviously, immediately, it's just a squirt gun. It's just like red paint, or
I thought it was blood at first.
I think obviously it represents blood. I don't think it.
Yeah, but I thought at first it was, and then I was like, it's not. It's just too thin.
And it was just like, the kid just yells out, Lala says hi or something like that, and runs away. And it's actually kind of terrified, and she looks terrified, and she should be terrified. Like, this was like, no.
Clearly the message is, we don't give a shit that those cops are there. We can get you.
Yeah, shut your mouth, or we're coming full force. Like, it was a properly well done scene. I think it escalated quite well. I think it was really well shot and executed. So, and that led to the scene with Jefferson coming to confront Lala at his little rally thing with the guys in the bikes. I don't know what they were doing, but
having a laugh.
Yeah. And you can see that he's ready to unleash, but he doesn't want to blow his secret identity, because there's a point where they all pull guns on him, and he's like, you can tell that he's ready to just blast them, but he's
he's down on the ground, his eyes flare up.
Yeah, he has to fight it. Which again, I like how, you know, this idea they've got when he gets emotional, sometimes his powers start to just kind of happen.
Yeah.
I like when he finds out the mother died. Like when he's sitting at his office, you just see the light start to flicker.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little visual thing that they can use to kind of show how he's feeling. I like that.
It's nice.
It works. And again, you've got his what's his name, Gamby, James Remar's character, kind of still trying to like edge him on. Hey, who's helping? He tracks the dead body down to know that Lala's like taking care of him, and he's still helping. I did kind of like the scene where Lynn goes to like debate with him. That felt like a more equal fight because it was like the two people, because he's talking him into it, she's trying to talk him out of it.
Yeah, I thought it was the most interesting scene with her for sure.
Yeah. Because she like blames him for doing all this, and he's like, "Well, I blame you for like keeping him off the streets for the last 9 years. He could have been doing a lot of good out there. Yeah. Look at this place." So I'll be interested to see where they go with that. What I think will be interesting with her is when she finds out her daughters are maybe going down that path as well. When they, and there is, I don't know if it's just key art and maybe they're not actually going down this path too quickly, but there is key art with them in costume.
Oh, is there? Okay.
At least in this, which makes sense because we've seen her with powers developing.
I mean, yeah. Speaking of,
that's the other plot. We see her girlfriend, and this was the scene I was talking about, where the scene's fine, like the actual conversation happening, and her like, "Oh yeah, this weird thing happened where I broke the sink," and our girlfriend kind of writes it off. She's like, "Ah, it was probably going to break anyways. It doesn't necessarily mean anything."
Yeah.
She writes it off and it's reasonable enough. But this scene, so the way it's shot, and they're both clearly topless, right? But obviously you're not seeing anything because it's network. And it's got the handheld, so it feels, we're in a gritty kind of like, this is just after sex. It's very intimate, but it feels more mature than any sort of like post-sex scene you would see on any of the other superhero shows, right?
I feel like all the other superhero shows, they immediately have the duvet just right. Okay, above chest. That's it. We're covered up. Whereas this, they're clearly not.
Yeah, they're going for this feel. However, despite the fact that the scene clearly implies that the girlfriend just came up from like down below, right? When it goes to like other shots, they're both still wearing underwear. Right, yes. and every time they moved, like they sit up, the camera was just perfectly moving to never catch it. Now I know they're not going to actually show anything, right? I do, but it's one of these things where they're determined to have this feel of like, this is intimate and sexy, but the camera is so specific to make sure it never shows anything. And these scenes always kind of make me chuckle a little bit because I just imagine that the gymnastics on set of making sure they never catch anything.
You've got to be perfect. I mean, usually you got a little bit of wiggle room. You don't with this. Yeah.
Now, of course, they can cheat a little bit if they're shooting, in higher resolutions. They can crop a little bit so that they don't lose any detail because they're shooting for a lower format or whatever. But it was cracking me up. I was starting to like just sort of chuckle at just
watch the camera move.
Yeah, the filmmaking. It's almost like that joke at the start of the Simpsons movie where they keep just everything keeps covering Bart's dick when he's like skateboard. It's basically that, but it's not supposed to be funny. But that's kind of how I start to process the scene, and it's not a big deal. Like I don't really blame them for it. I just kind of wish not just put the cover over them and just do it like a TV scene. Almost.
Yeah, it becomes really obvious, doesn't it? And it kind of takes you out of the moment. You find yourself paying attention to the camera more than the conversation.
Yeah, and again, I want to emphasize, I'm not looking for nipples here. That wasn't the point. The point is, I'm just aware that they're avoiding it, so I'm starting to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
But no, it's nice. Again, giving a different feel to other superhero shows. We mentioned how it's different that he's a dad, he's a teacher, he's divorced even, and his kids are this old. Even just the fact that we have a superhero whose kid, at one point, when the Inspector Henderson's around, and he's like, and this is with a girlfriend, or a girlfriend's place. Like, most superheroes don't have kids, let alone have kids old enough to just say a sentence like that. They're
Yeah, no, they don't, do they? It's different.
I feel like even unless the kids are the main characters, even in like a sitcom or something, you wouldn't have like the dad character would have someone old enough to say that, because usually the plot would revolve around them being protective about their kids and like, you shouldn't be dating yet, and
they're usually maybe a decade younger.
Yeah.
When you also.
Which reminds me, I actually kind of liked, this was a little human moment with the mother when he was talking to her after the sort of awkward town meeting, or parent-teacher meeting, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Where he's just sort of reminiscing with her, and he's like, you and your husband, I used to have to tell you to stop like touching each other in the hallways and get to class. But they're kind of like laughing about it and reminiscing. I liked that. It was very humanising. It was kind of like, Yeah, like all kids kind of do that when they're in a relationship with their kids, but he's kind of joking about it now because she's older.
He's like, well, I'm doing my job when I'm doing this, telling you not to do it in the school, but really, I know everyone's doing it. I don't really care that much.
Yeah, and more to the point, it's like the way he talks about it. He clearly thinks it's sweet. He's having fond memories of it, and I like that. He humanized him as a teacher. I mean, he's humanized already anyway, but for a character who is just set up relatively quickly to be killed. They do a nice quick job of just like, no, here's some human qualities to just make you care a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then we got the other scene with Anissa a little bit later on in the drugstore.
We did, yeah. Where and this is maybe the other time where I'll kind of chuckle to myself and say, okay, here's the trope, because the show's doing quite well at not just having superhero tropes, but her just happening to be in a store where there's a robbery feels very, it feels very like, Spider-Man origin or. Whatever.
Yeah, I can kind of forgive it a little this show when they're showing the neighborhood to be this bad.
Yeah, they're showing the gangs a lot and stuff. Yeah,
so it kind of gets a bit more of a pass than the ones where everything seems fine except this one specific spot.
Yeah, and I kind of liked how even though I knew she was going to be fine, I liked how tense it was when she starts having, because we've seen it so far when she gets her powers kick in, she gets like this like migraine and she's like kind of in pain, and I like that as the guy's got the gun pointing at her and he's saying get down. Like, she can't really kind of process what he's saying.
She's having a panic attack. Like, because that's the way she describes it.
That's true, that's how she said it, yeah. A panic attack. And I thought, this is actually quite a scary situation. Like, imagine in this situation, like, in real life, right? There's a situation like this, and the person would probably be fine because they would just do what the gunman says, and maybe that'd be okay, that'd be the end of it, right? They'd leave the store never. But if they were someone with a condition that kind of kicked in, whether it be a panic attack, whether it be someone who is maybe autistic, maybe, and didn't understand, and the gunman wouldn't care, they would just shoot them because they're not.
Yeah, they're not going to know or understand, are they?
Yeah, and I thought, that's quite an interesting little idea. Admittedly, it's for one little scene, which I'm sure won't. Not because they're going to waste it, just because it's not something that necessarily leads to anything. But I just like that little touch to it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of going to be something that we don't get too often though, because I think the implication was she was there to buy anxiety medication, because as soon as she has that moment, and then she gets over it, she throws the guy, she stands up, she's confident.
She smiles.
She smiles, yeah. She puts the bottle of pills down on the till, but she doesn't buy them. She walks off.
She walks off, yeah.
She doesn't need them anymore.
Which I thought was a nice cut to black moment for the ending, but we had another scene after this, but which was also an effective ending, admittedly. But
it was.
So she throws the guy across the room through like several rows of products. All the shelves go smashing down onto the floor. So moving on to the last scene, which is Tobias coming to the receiving it at the police station. I liked how this was shot. There was a few scenes in this where it did this kind of like the music would play and it would go into slow-mo as they're walking.
Yeah.
And I liked both times it did it. It was kind of showing you the stature of someone or the status of someone in a certain I don't want to say cultures. Like the first time it happens, it's when Jefferson goes to that rally thing where he goes to see Lala, and it's the whole idea is it's pointing out how out of place he is.
Yeah, it's showing the outsider.
Yeah, showing the outsider, and it's like him walking in his nice suit in slow motion, surrounded by just the gang basically, and then here with Tobias walking at the police station. It does the same thing, and it's just showing you like, no, he doesn't really belong here. Of course, the interesting thing is, as soon as he got there, I was like, oh wait, there's people inside. I actually thought his inspector friend, Henderson. I thought
it was as well.
Yeah, I thought he was going to end up, and he may still turn out to be. But
there's a moment where he's walking his dog, and he comes and sees him at the house. And I'm like, I'm kind of getting suspicious of you here.
Yeah, I am as well. I'm kind of expecting a plot twist with him, but at the very least, he has contacts that he can just walk into the police station, walk into the jail cell.
Yep.
And kill Lala. That's how we end. We end with him.
I love that he just kills him with his bare hands.
Yeah, it's very feral.
Yeah, it's kind of just showing. No. He's a threat. And he's not afraid to get his hands dirty. Literally.
Yeah. So no, I thought I had good style, and again, the slow motion with the music. It was like, no, he has status walking in here. Like he has this. So I like that. I mean, I didn't even mention the one thing we kind of left out as well. Actually, is just the scene where Lala gets caught because Black Lightning goes storming through. Because I really liked a couple of the small little touches, like the doorman just being like, "Oh, hey, Black Lightning, hey, there's the door."
He goes, "Lala," he goes, "Penthouse."
True, yeah. And then the elevator guy's like, "Oh, I got you, Black Lightning." And he's like, "Nah, that's not. I need to exercise."
I'll take the stairs. Yeah.
Madness, as far as I'm concerned. I hate.
No. I agree, but he wanted an excuse to beat up a few dudes.
That's true. He was zapping people on his way up, and I'm still loving the spark effect every time he punches someone.
It's so nice. It's
satisfying.
really satisfying. Yeah. It's such a great sound to it as well. That like it's like a crackly crunch to it. It's good.
That's good. And then I like the idea that when Henderson like comes in at the end and he's like, hey officer, it's been a long time. And he jumps out.
Yeah, they're like, freeze, hands up, and he's like, it's just me. See ya.
Yeah. And they're just kind of in shock, and you get the sense that maybe like back when he was like maybe before he was a detective and he was maybe like a beat cop, like that's when like Black Lightning was around, because it's been 9 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, it stands to reason maybe he was lower ranked at the time. Kind of like
he's inspector now, right? So
yeah,
a regular detective before.
Yeah, it just depends what.
I'm assuming inspector's a higher rank.
It just depends when he got each promotion, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming that 9 years ago, Jefferson wasn't principal. Because it sounds like he used to just be a regular teacher, where he'd actually have students.
Yeah. He has to have been working in the school for sure because of the like this woman here, in this episode.
Oh sure, but I'm thinking you don't just go straight to being a principal. Typically, you would.
You can.
I mean, you can, but the reason why I say it though is because like, he's talking to people who's saying they used to be students who are now parents, parents of teenagers, no less.
No, I agree. The logic is
he has been at that school for at least
15 years.
15,
minimum.
Probably 20.
Yeah.
Right. So if he went straight to principal, he did that mighty young.
Yeah. He did.
He came straight out of college and went, you know what, I want to be a principal. Oh, there's a job hiring. Like, that doesn't happen. That's my point.
Oh, no, I agree.
So, yeah. So that seems fun enough. And he jumps out.
I preferred it to last week's, action sequence, because last week I called out the music choice for it's been such a dramatic moment.
Tonally, this fit better.
It did. It was, it was stylistically, it was no different, but just the actual moment where here it was, no, I'm going to go get this dude rather than I'm going to save my daughters. The difference meant that here it played much better for me.
Yeah, tonally it fit better. So there you go. So that's Black Lightning. So solid episode 2, just as good as episode 1, I'd say.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah, I think it held up really well. Actually, one thing we didn't mention actually is Jennifer's kind of subplot. Where she's kind of getting off the deep end, trying to cope with her experience, and we meet her love interest, who Stephen and Mel better watch out because we see him topless at one point running on the treadmill, and Jesus Christ, the kid's got abs.
Ripped. Yeah,
he is ripped as shit. Makes a man like me feel ashamed of himself and what he's done with his life.
I don't. I look at that and go, I could do that if I bothered, if I cared.
Sure.
Hey, I used to do running. I could do that. I just don't give a shit.
He's doing more than running for those abs.
Yeah. Look,
he's in that gym.
It's the sort of thing where I go, if I wanted to, I could, but I just don't care. It's too much effort. I'd rather sit and eat and drink my beer.
I mean, I could be president, but I'm not going to go through all that effort of running and all the rest of it.
Why would I bother? What a waste of heartbeats.
Anyway, so she has a kind of own plot here where we meet a love interest and she's kind of get off the deep end. This is probably the least interesting plot overall of the episode. However, I did like one scene in particular of it, where he kind of like comes up to the roof with her and very awkwardly like asks her to be his girlfriend. And what I kind of liked about this scene is that it kind of emphasised how young these people actually are, because it was very kind of like, so I'm asking if you want to be my girlfriend, and it's like, yeah, I'd like that. And they both kind of awkwardly smell at each other. I'm like, well, this feels more like 12-year-olds. But I kind of liked it because it contrasted nicely with the fact that they're actually like 20-year-olds.
Yeah, especially when you're seeing you see her boozing in the school.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, no, this is more appropriate for what I'm expecting. I mean, I get the boozing in the school thing. It's like, it's the whole rebellion. I'm not being a princess thing. I get it, but it doesn't highlight the age, like you're saying.
Yeah, this for me, especially after the horror show that she went through last week, and the fact that she thinks she's mature because she thinks she can go to clubs, she thinks she can go and get drunk and stuff with guys, but then you see this scene where she's like giggling like a schoolgirl essentially at the thought of being asked to be a girlfriend, and I think it showed you that, and that basically that conflict in her character, right? That contradiction between the two things, where she thinks she's one thing, but she's really not there yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I thought that was a smart enough writing. That said, I will criticise one thing in this scene. I like that they explained why they didn't recognise their dad. I like the idea that his electricity kind of blinds the face a little bit and they can't see. However, the way that it was shoved into this scene with her like sort of really emphasising it, I thought was a bit clunky.
Yeah, and my problem is they tell us that here. You're like, oh no, his face lights up, you can't see it. It's all like, out of focus. But when we see it, there is no light effect on his face. I would have liked it, you know, maybe a light effect at least coming from his eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
Would that have been too much to ask for? Because that was before we see him suited up this episode, so I was looking for it. And there's just nothing.
Yeah, no. I think, yeah, a bit of a glow effect. Maybe, I mean, even if it's just when he's with someone he knows who could recognise him. Like, a bit of a glow effect, like, just around the mask so that it'd cover most of his face, and, like, maybe his chin would still be kind of sticking out or something.
It's just something subtle, just like you say, a little bit of light can really, you know, screw your eyes. Yeah, doesn't need to be much.
Yeah. But hey, so I appreciate the explanation. I like the idea, but I just thought the dialogue itself was clunky, and a scene that was otherwise really well written for what it was doing. So
yeah,
but no, Black Lightning's still good. So that'll take us on, unfortunately, to Arrow season 5. Sorry, season 6. We're on. Jesus Christ, there's too much Arrow. Season 6, episode 11. It's called We Fall. Sure, we fall, you fall, I fall, everyone falls. You
did that there, and we didn't mention the nursery rhyme in Supergirl. When Rain's arriving, you have a sigh.
Oh, sure, yeah, I remember now. Yeah,
yeah. Just thought, oh yeah, you'll make the Arrow title into one, but when there's actually one there.
Sorry, all right. It wasn't a stick out moment of the show for me. But yeah, so this is, of course, we're back with Caden James, and he's hacked into the city. He's controlling everything. He's stopping everything, and he's turning off power systems. He's you know, bringing the city to its knees.
Yeah, the full shebang.
He makes a ransom demand. He's going to like kill so many people unless City Hall pays him $10 million. Or was that 11? I feel like in my head it was 11, but I don't know why I'd asked specifically for 11, so I think it was 10.
Just to screw with them. Everyone always asks for 10.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't remember clearly.
He's a Spinal Tap fan.
Yeah, maybe.
This one goes to 11. But so that's kind of the plot of the episode. But the main meat of it really is the fact that we've got the two teams. The second team, the young team, if you will, who actually at one point actually like I think Curtis refers to him as Arrow 2.0, Team Arrow 2.0, and I'm like, give yourselves a name. Like, that doesn't rely on the guy you split away from.
They tried, right? Or was that last week?
No, that was this week. They had the reference to the Outsiders, yes.
Yeah.
But hey, that's something. Anyway, so you had them working on the case, and it showed that they were relatively capable. We got a actually really cool display of Dinah's powers in the subway.
It was with the train, yeah.
Because they get lured into the subway to meet with Vigilante, who's apparently now, because he makes a point of like luring out the team, and he's like, hey Curtis, I'm actually undercover, I'm against Caden James, I'm against what he does, which to be fair lines up with his character before that reveal, because we were saying, hey, he is criminals, why is he working with one? So that makes sense. And yeah, so we get this thing where the trains have been like hacked so that they cross and like they'll hit each other.
They're gonna crash, yeah.
The two tracks are kind of linked, so they're just going to go like that and whoosh into each other. Which I kind of liked that it wasn't head on. I liked that it was actually just a simple thing where they were going to sort of both turn
cross
into
the lanes, because it's such an easy thing to do in terms of train control.
Yeah, but basically what happened is they let one train go, and Dinah just stands her ground and screams at the train to stop it, and it does. Now the CG isn't necessarily perfect by any means. It's a little bit wonky, but the idea is cool enough that I was kind of letting it go.
This is the thing. There's times where the CG annoys the hell out of me. Like, you know, whenever they do the stupid rope arrows and have someone swing across the screen, it looks atrocious. I'm like, just don't bother.
On that subject, actually, on the Flash this week, I thought the stretchy powers looked good for what they were. The only time of CG that bugged me in the Flash this week was when... Oh, we never mentioned Bebo!
We didn't!
Bebo was back!
How did we forget Bebo?
They had Bebo.
Praise Bebo.
They tested the acid on Bebo, and then they had like flying Bebos with grenades. But it was when Killer Frost froze the Bebos with the ice and the smash. I thought that looked atrocious.
Yeah.
That looked like absolute garbage. But hey, whatever, not a big deal.
I can't believe we forgot Bebos.
I know. I started laughing. As soon as I saw Bebo, I was like, "Oh man, Bebo!"
And then they've given it new lines as well. I can't remember what it was saying, but it was different things to what it was saying in Legends.
Well, some of them were saying because it had the Bebo loves you.
Yeah, but there was some other ones as well.
So that was the thing. But anyway, so that was a cool moment. I'll give Arrow credit. That was a cool use of her powers. It kind of makes her feel like she's gimped every other time they use her though, because like she can stop a train.
Yeah, I think the way I'm going to headcanon it, which is probably more effort than Arrow deserves, just to headcanon anything, is that she can control how strong the scream is. So she tones it down, which is using it on people, so she's not just shattering all their bones instantly.
Ah, sure, okay, that's fair. I mean,
because that's pretty vicious.
That's not really my point. Was though? It was just that she's much stronger than they kind of give her credit for. So it feels that she's slumming it on Arrow when she could be with the Legends or something.
Yeah, well, at least we're getting Wally on the Legends.
That is true.
Did we speak about that last week?
I think we did.
I don't remember when that news hit.
Is that one of those things where it hit right after we recorded, so then we just kind of thought it was last week, so we didn't talk about it this week?
Might have done. I know it's happening. Like, there was a bunch of sources saying it, and then I saw on Reddit earlier, it's a woman who plays Sarah, doing a little video going, "Oh, hey Wally, welcome to the Legends."
I'm trying to think of her name. That's Katie Lotz. God damn it.
Thank you.
It was bugging me. I wasn't just clicking immediately who it was. Katie Lotz plays Sarah Lance. Yeah, and then the other side of it is you get two teams working together. They end up helping. There's like a whole thing in a tunnel where they've set off explosions and they're going to trap a bunch of cars and buses, including a school bus that has Oliver's son on it. And
because of course.
So a big part of this episode is Oliver's son actually being rescued by Green Arrow and immediately going, "Hey, wait a minute, you're Green Arrow. You were meant to have stopped doing this because Diggle had pushed you."
He's like, "I did stop doing this, and then they needed me again."
Yeah, he keeps making excuses, and then Felicity kind of tries to convince him that the city needs him and he's a hero. And to be fair, they do a nice little thing with when the bus is like stuck and like the fire's coming, where Oliver's son actually kind of like starts rallying everyone in the bus. He like organizes them. He's like, "Hey, everyone, come out the back!" And he like, he gets the exit open, and he's like, "Hey," he starts taking charge. And like, I mean, he's a shit little actor, right? So it's never going to be that successful in using him for much. But I like the idea at least that he kind of becomes a bit of a hero.
The idea of he's like, okay, I'm not going to make him stop being the Green Arrow. Instead, I'm going to try and live up to being a hero like him.
Yeah, because he understands.
That's a fine
perhaps,
idea.
Yeah.
I don't trust Arrow to pull it off, but the concept is good.
Yeah. So there's a whole thing. And yeah, so the teams work well together. They stop this thing, but then afterwards, like the new team are still like, "Yeah, hey, we're still separate though, so deal with that." And,
so yeah, see ya, piss off.
Because they actually get intel from Vigilante at one point, which, by the way, there was a really cheesy kind of moment where Dinah smiled at him when she realised he wasn't like a bad guy anymore. She's like, "Oh."
Yeah. Joe, I'm not gonna lie, I remember more of this than I thought.
I think a canary cry came out of another orifice when she realised that. I apologise for that joke, people. That was
I got no words for that one.
Hey, I carry canary out of a certain orifice on a daily basis. Thank you very much.
You and me both.
That was a farting joke, in case anyone didn't get it.
I feel like I could probably make some atrocious jokes while I'm watching Arrow when I'm drunk.
Oh, I'm sure you.
I feel like I don't try hard enough.
Yeah, I'm sure you do, and I just kind of forget them because they all kind of fade. But Oliver ends up having to pay the ransom because as much as they kind of save a couple of situations, they don't actually defeat him. So we end the episode with him paying him.
I appreciate the failure.
Hence the title, We Fall.
Yeah. No, but I think it's rare that any of these shows can actually just have them outright fail.
I don't know, Barry kind of invited it by saying, "Hey, I won't move that body, I will go to prison."
No, but that doesn't count. He didn't get beaten, he just went, "Alright, fine, you win."
Okay. That's a fair distinction. I can't argue that. It's a fair distinction.
I mean, Legends screw up a lot, but it's kind of inherent in that show at this point. That they're gonna lose.
Yeah, of course, Diggle now has a body camera. Even though Felicity, before this episode, I don't think we've ever seen her have like direct footage of the fights as she's like talking to them. It's always been maps and she's on the comms with them and all the rest of it. Yeah, in this episode, she has like a constant camera to watch the fight on because young William's watching the fight and he gets really impressed because his dad's really good. And then his dad goes to stab someone in the eye and she's like, "Oh, you shouldn't be watching that," and she like covers his eyes.
To be fair, body cams are probably a good idea. They probably should have had that a long time ago.
I'm not saying it's a bad idea. It's just all of a sudden, because we need it for the plot reasons here, They have them.
Diggle's due one, right? I mean, he's due upgrades.
Oh yeah, you got a new suit actually this episode too.
Yeah, so maybe it was in the new suit.
Yeah, maybe that's true. That's true.
That's why we haven't had one before. They thought, do you know what we could do with body cams? They're a good idea right now.
I don't know if they said beforehand if Cisco made it, because you were drunkenly rambling over the dialogue, so I missed kind of the introduction dialogue to the suit. So I can't comment.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's quite often a bit of dialogue that I'll miss in Arrow because Connor's drunkenly saying something.
Should probably have subtitles on.
I probably should. Maybe that's how little I care about Arrow.
You're like, well, if I miss them, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a few times where I go, yeah, I didn't catch that, because sometimes, to be fair, you're the one saying something to me.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And I'll be like, oh, I'll go back and check that at the end, and then I never do. Never.
Yeah. Thea gets rehired, but in a new job position at the mayor's office.
I can't remember the title. Can you?
Secretary of something or other. I don't know.
Yeah. Basically, hey, well, we'll put Thea back in the office.
Pretty much.
She'll work with Lance again, which, to be fair, I think is when she's at her best.
Probably, although it still gives me the impression they still don't know what to do with her. Because
absolutely.
Because after she got her job back, there was nothing else with her in this episode.
I think it just tells me they never had a plan. They were like, well, we knocked her out of commission for a while. Oh, shit, we haven't got anything new to do with her. Throw her back in the office.
Yeah, it's very odd. But hey, so that's Arrow. I think we'll just leave it there. It was not the worst episode, because there was a couple of little things that I did like.
Yeah, it was pretty bad on my liver. They were asking, "Are you okay?" a lot, especially when there's a kid in danger. They tend to say it a lot there.
Yeah, like I say, there was some ideas in this one I actually thought was all right. So
yeah,
I can't fault it too much this week, although it was still Arrow.
It's still Arrow, yeah.
Yeah, it's still the weakest of the bunch. But that'll take us on to the last thing we watched, which of course is not a new thing. We're working our way through Young Justice. This is going to be season 1, episode 12. It's called Homefront, and this episode, all the teams there, but it focuses primarily on Robin and Artemis.
Yeah.
And in fact, we even start the episode with Artemis first day of school, and she clearly doesn't like her uniform. She's like, because remember she got into Gotham Academy a couple of episodes ago. She got that acceptance letter, and she's kind of like, okay, I don't really like this. And this older girl, the senior, is like kind of showing her around, and some random kid with dark hair comes over and says, "Hey, you'll laugh at this someday," and takes a photo with her, and then he Batman's out of the scene, and I just started giggling. I went, that was dick.
I mean, you can hear it in the voice anyway.
Oh, you can, sure. But it was so quick, though, you don't even have time to process it, really. You're just kind of laughing, because like...
That's it, because you've never seen this character model with him in Civies.
And then, but I knew who it was. I was like, oh, that's funny. He's not letting her know that... Because they don't know their identities yet, so he's just doing that for a laugh.
Oh, no, they just don't know his.
Okay, but same difference.
Yeah.
Fair point. But it's the same thing. And... and then like Barbara's there. That's the first time we've seen Barbara in this, and she's like the older girl in school. It's like, oh, who's that? Oh, just having some fun with the freshman. Don't you worry, Babs. It's fine. But that was funny. And then then he's poking fun as well when they go to the entrance. With the telephone box to beam to the cave. And he's like, oh, that's odd. Why are you in Gotham? Even though you're not, you should be in Star City with your uncle there, shouldn't you?
Yeah, she's like, I think she says visiting a cousin.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, to be fair, we have some family links with her to talk about.
We do. Yeah. Cheshire's our sister, seemingly.
Yeah, because obviously we got that tease when Cheshire showed up, when they were protecting the scientist woman. Yeah,
she seems to know her. She has a history with her. Of course, Artemis didn't seem to understand who she was, of course, at the time. I didn't think she did.
I think she did, but she was just playing it to the rest that she didn't.
Okay, because I kind of got in this one, because when she gets into the room with the masks on the shelf, and she looks at it, I kind of read that almost as just was remembering that flashback, and she was putting it together then. Maybe I'm wrong, but...
I didn't think so. I thought, because, I mean, we see the flashback in the bedroom that they shared, and you had, Cheshire Cat on the wall.
Yeah.
So I figured she knew anyway, and this was just, she was looking at it, the mask.
That's fair. By the way, that room with the mask, it's very Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, okay, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, specifically from the animated movie from 2007, it ends with them putting the mask of the villain on the shelf, and the Shredder's mask's already there. It reminds me of that. It's very, very samurai, I guess. It's a samurai tradition, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, no, okay. That's what
you know, the fallen enemies, you take their helmets and.
This is the souvenir room.
Essentially, yeah. The trophy room, I guess, is maybe more.
It is, but Wally always calls them souvenirs. So
yeah. So what happens is they get to the mountain, and we don't see quite who it is at first. We just see chaos. Like there's fire coming at them, and Robin and Artemis have to duck and dive and eventually go through some vents. And a lot of the episode is basically a Die Hard episode where they are sneaking around. And by the way, there's so many places in this mountain. It's almost ridiculous how many like you know, generator rooms and like hidden back passages and like.
Yeah. But I buy it. This was a Justice League base. They had lots of.
I'm not really complaining. I was just kind of chuckling to myself as I was watching it. Going,
well, it's a big ass mountain.
But yeah, and obviously there's a sort of fake out at one point where Artemis says, "Oh, Red Tornado's here," but it's not Red Tornado because he suspiciously had to leave earlier on in the episode. He has this like, "Oh, I have to go and do some watchtower duty." It's like, yeah, I thought you stopped doing that when you became our you know, housekeeper.
Den mother.
Den mother, that was what he said. And he's like, "Oh, Green Arrow has a hot date with Black Canary. I'm going up to the watchtower."
I'm covering for him, yeah.
Yeah. Which there's a couple of things. You see Wally as well. You see Miss Martian and Superboy kissing a little bit, and then thanking the sphere for warning them before, because they're questioning why it interrupted them, and then Wally comes in and is like, "Oh, good sphere. Good sphere."
And then Wally's putting his mechanic skills to good use.
That is true, yeah, he's fixing things and whatnot. And we see Aqualad thinks he's a traitor, and he's talking to Red Tornado about it, of course. So they established they're all there, and then eventually we see that they're all kind of trapped in various places. There's a fire cage around Miss Martian, of course her weakness is fire, and Aqualad, and then Superboy and Wally are in like rock kind of prisons in the water.
Yes.
That's rising. It makes sense, of course, putting Aqualad in the fire cage, because if you put him in the water, he's kind of in his
yeah. We saw him in the desert last week before, you know, where it just dehydrates him. He can't cope.
Yeah, so obviously it's very tactical. Not that water is a specific weakness to Superboy or Wally, but they'll drown all the same, assuming the water rises.
And I think it's clear to say, okay, so they put Miss Marsh in the fire. They're familiar with the weakness here. They know what to do. It just tells you a lot already.
Yeah. So this is actually they're related to Red Tornado. They are Red Torpedo and Red. I can't remember the other one's name.
I can't either.
Red Torpedo and Red something else. But anyway, yeah, and they're all created by the same scientist, and they all have related elemental beings inside them. If you're familiar with some Red Tornado history, but classically in the comics, Red Tornado doesn't know the other ones exist until he encounters them like this. I don't know how accurate this is because obviously the show does its own versions of things, so I don't know how. Yeah. Close it is. I can't say I've ever actually read the story of like Red Tornado discovering this stuff, but he's surprised as well. That said, when he goes to interact with him at the end, he kind of goes apeshit himself and starts, tornadoing and yeah.
Tornadoing. That's a good word.
Tornadoing, yeah. That's a great word.
I know. I'm just it's very on the nose.
Yeah, that's what he does. And yeah, I'll give the episode credit. It ended very differently from previous episodes. It ends,
yeah.
Basically on like a sort of cliffhanger where you think, oh wait, Red Tornado's went evil and he's off with his siblings, and what are we doing here now? Like, it ended like a really downbeat moment. There wasn't like oh, the light will be happy we did this. Although I'm sure these twins have been working with the light.
Sent by the light, sure, that's kind of a given, but we didn't need to see it because we know that.
Yeah. I appreciate it was different. The episode itself, though, I actually, as maybe one of my favourites, I liked how it was mainly all about Artemis and how she's with Robin. It's the two people without powers dealing with stuff on their own. Robin's very confident, of course, and he's kind of like, and she's even saying, how are you so confident? He's like, oh, I've been doing this since I was 9. Like, I work with Batman. I'm fine. And I like the idea that now he's kind of becoming the Batman, even though he's got a different attitude. It's that he's so calm and confident that because he's learned from Batman that she's like freaking out and she's like, no, what do we do? But no, the whole thing becomes a her kind of focused story because eventually she almost runs thinking, oh, she can get the Justice League or wait for the Justice League, but then she makes the choice to come back. And obviously, we mentioned the souvenir room. She gets the arrow that they had. Again, continuity stuff to set up in previous episode. She gets that arrow from several episodes ago and has the one arrow she's got left because she makes a point of saying that she's run out. She's run out of arrows by the time we get
Which
to this.
Is nice. How often do you see that happen?
Rare.
I mean, how often is Arrow... has he run out of arrows?
That's true. I can actually, I mean, Hawkeye's been, what, like 3 movies, and I can think of it happening in the first Avengers movie, which is already beating Arrow by a
Oh, no, that's
landslide.
fair, you're right. I was just trying to think, I was like, oh, no, there is a scene where he runs out, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got like 1 left, and then he changes it to the grappling. Because remember, he pulls it out the bad guy, and he...
No, I remember, yeah.
Oh, I'm going to focus. There you go. So that's nice. And she, Robin said, no, this EMP, because that's their plan, to set off an EMP to get the robots to shut down. It just needs some metal to,
finish the circuit.
And she just fires the arrow, damn good shot, into the circuit, and there you go.
Yeah.
So, that was a really good episode.
It
That's
was.
maybe my favourite so far, or at least up there in top 3.
Oh, yeah, it's great. And speaking of continuity, calling back, we had, their first mission was the red tornado thing.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
So it's all leading things.
And then, on top of that, obviously the Justice League shop at the end, after they all get, attacked by Red Tornado, and they're gone. So, it really feels like it's setting up a big plot, and this was a big deal. And I kind of like that, even though we had big wins for Artemis in the story, at the end of the day, the team still kind of lost, and
all they did is survive. Yeah.
I kind of like that. It sells the tornadoes as a threat first and foremost, but also sets up that no, they're still going to make mistakes, they're still going to struggle, and they aren't just perfect at this yet. They're still learning. So I like that.
Yeah.
So it was a great episode.
I think the only thing it does now is it begs the question is, why are they going to stay in this base? Because the original logic was, okay, the enemies know about this base, but they know that we know that they know, so they won't think to look here.
Well, I've not seen this before, so for all I know, they move next episode.
I mean, sure, maybe they do. So I don't remember them moving, but it's been a while. But I just hope that's addressed.
Maybe. We'll find out next week. But there you go. So that is that. So we're wrapping up the show now. So we pick our favourite episode of TV, or of the shows we've covered on this podcast of the week, out the new episodes. So that means Supergirl, it means Flash, it means Black Lightning, or it means Arrow. It won't be Arrow. I'm sure of that. Connor, what's your favourite episode of the week?
Not to be boring, but I think I'm going to have to give it to Black Lightning again.
I will as well.
Supergirl's got a good shot. It's got a good episode, but Black Lightning's just better. I
think last week, had you swapped these... No, maybe not swapped the Black Lightnings. I think last week's Supergirl was good enough that I considered giving it to Supergirl. This week, it's definitely still second place, but Black Lightning was definitely a bit more of a gap, and I think Black Lightning this week was just as good as the first one, whereas Supergirl was still good, but just dipped a little bit. So
I think that's what we said at the end of each of those episodes, respectively. Supergirl, still a good episode, but not as good as last week, where Black Lightning, we said, it's as good as, more or less. It's on par. Yeah.
So no, Black Lightning from both of us then. So that's 2 in a row it's won. So Black Lightning's on a bit of a streak now.
I'm sensing a trend. Yeah, Need Legends to come back in and see if it can regain its throne.
Yeah. So that'll be exciting to see how that develops. But there you go. So I guess that wraps up this episode of Television from the Multiverse. I will tell you, of course, about the Twitter at DC Comics Podcast. I will tell you about liking and subscribing, which you know about that anyway. But you know what I mean. Do it.
Please.
It helps us if you do that.
We have manners.
Yeah. What?
You just said do it, and I said, so please.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, sure. And what else do I usually do? patreon.com/MailFuzzTV if you want to support the show and the channel and everything we do here. You can do that over there. The link in the description, of course, down below. If you're on YouTube. If you're on the audio, then the description is wherever the description is.
Somewhere, yeah.
On your podcast app of choice. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching DC TV and other superhero shenanigans. And yeah, just enjoy flights and tights. Cape stories, cape shows, cape books. That's typically what you refer to them as.
Capes and cowls.
Capes and cowls. Yeah, just keep enjoying it. It's a bit silly sometimes, but we're all kind of kids at heart, and never give that up. I don't know where I'm going with that. That's us, guys. And always remember that sometimes we screw things up for the better.